going to work on the LAS-7 Dagger a little bit more. I kind of want to finish up this power cell or cooling cell or whatever. So I just noticed it's quite short compared to what we see in our reference image. So I'm going to pull this whole thing out. We're going to go into 3D mode or X-ray mode and get all these guys. And I think the edge is still on the right one. So we just GY and let's see how far. GY, and we'll pull it out to about there. Let's see. Yeah, see how far it sticks out of those rails. Actually, it doesn't seem to stick out at all, so maybe we can pull it back a little bit, or we can extend the rails. Hmm. Mm -mm -mm -mm. Let's check on those rails one more time. How far they stick out. They do jut out quite a bit, so I'm gonna go with the rails. Let's get these faces here, and we'll pull these up GY to meet with our cooling cell. Alright. Uh-oh. What did I do? Still good? Yeah, we're still good. Alright, so next I'm thinking we start working on those ribs that we see in here. So, they do look like they come outward a bit. That's kind of a tight squeeze as it is, so we might have to shrink our thing a little bit. There does seem to be a division down here we might be able to use. So, um, let's see. What I want to do is get a center point on this, but it's such an irregular shape that would be a bit tricky. So, I think the first thing we're going to do is collect all these edges and subdivide to create that division. I'm going to hit Shift V to move along the edges like so. Oh yeah, we can just hit GY since we have that edge. And about where was it? How high above the teeth? Not very, not very. So we'll move that down here-ish, maybe. Bum, 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 bum. So with these edges selected, we'll go ahead and subdivide again to make the first little area. Oh, but actually, since we do have this, we can make a face here, and let's set cursor to active. That can be used as a middle point, so we can shrink this face. So that actually worked out. So let's go 3D cursor, and then we'll scale down a little bit so we can make those ribs a bit pronounced. GY, and turn this one into our active so we can snap it over here. So that's the shrunk down one. Actually, no. GY, drag it back up, and I'm going to get rid of these edges. This is what we're going to do next. Like this, and then we'll take the outer edge, holding Alt and left clicking, and then Alt Shift left clicking to get these edge loops. I think that's got it. And then we'll hit E to extrude, and then right click, G, Y, and then we'll snap it on there. So now we got that face. And then we can Alt left click, right? Alt left click, and then Alt Shift left click on these edge loops. And then we will bridge the edge loops. And we should get rid of that face that we created for. Let's see where that is. Taking off X-ray. I guess it's already gone. I thought we were seeing that. But if it's gone, that's fine. All right. Now, in order to create some more, let's see about how many these ribs we got. So maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm thinking we subdivide 16 times since each one is going to have 2 levels. 16, and that'll make it kind of even, and they are really close together. Were they that close? I thought there were some divisions. Well, actually they are pretty close together. So maybe this will be fine. And then for each one of those divisions, we're going to take this edge loop. And then we'll Shift D to duplicate. And then we'll GY and snap it down here. Because this will be one of the ones that goes inward. And I think we actually need it for all of them because then this one will protrude out and then this one will be inward again. GY, Shift D to duplicate, and then GY. And I think we're actually going to have all 16. So in order to expedite that a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and collect all these and use one of these as the active. And I'm going to Shift D, GY, so we can get a whole stack of them moving all at once. Shift D, right click, GY, and Shift D, right click, GY. And I think that's all of them. Okay, next we might have some overlaps with those, so I'm going to go ahead and go to Mesh, Cleanup, Merge by Distance, and we didn't do bad, just 2 of them, and I don't think those were actually those. Alright, so next we're going to get rid of these edges here. Just want these edge loops, these edges, and here, hit X, and then delete edges, and then we will bridge these edge loops. Oop. Some weirdness over there. Like we're not clicking on something. What is going on? So something's probably either doubled or we're missing an edge somewhere, but it is very hard to tell. I kind of want that. I'm going to hit period so we can zoom on this. I don't think we're missing anybody. Ah, maybe because there's no subdivision here. No, there is. So what is problem? Let's try select all with A and then Shift N to recalculate our normals. See if that helps. Bridge edge loops, and they're still saying they want to connect over here for some reason. Let's go ahead and hide this upper bar here so you can get a better look at what's going on. see down here, we got 31 vertices, F62, so they're exactly the same. Why are you having trouble? See if there's any doubles, but there can't really be, because we just saw. Okay, so I guess we'll manually put these on and just do it like that, just fine. Then let's unhide everything. I think we'll just kind of copy and paste our way down. Oh, never mind. First, we get to bridge these two. Edge mode, bridge edge loops, just like that. So we now have our ribs going. So that's good. Let's see if we can do this one successfully. Bridge edge loops, check it. And this one worked out fine. I wonder why the other one decided not to. And we'll get these faces, and then deselect these edge loops. Get rid of those. And get these. Edge mode, bridge, and you're doing it again. Why you do that? Okay. Well, I think we got enough of it that we can just start duplicating. So let's go ahead and... Oh, might be an easier way. Let me Control 7 or Shift 7. Yeah. So in this orientation, we can go ahead and get rid of all of this. And then we can just start, did we do that one yet? Control 1 to shift our camera angle. We didn't fill in this face yet, so let's go ahead and just do that manually. It's being a little argumentative at the moment. Blender is. So fill that in. And then from here, Shift 7. With X-ray mode on, should be able to just duplicate GY, and actually need to select one of these as our active, GY, and we just snap it on there. GY, and we need the active again. Snap her on, and then GY. Let's get this one as our active, GY, snap her on. I think maybe 3 more, like this. GY, on, and let's get one more for the road. We'll just extrude, GY, snap it, and get those faces. Let's see if it'll actually bridge. It does. Fantastic. And that's... Wait a second. Got a little overzealous there, it seems. Wait. Brain farting here. GY. We actually have a little more room there than anticipated. I mean, we could just bring this up a little bit, so no big deal. So let's get one of this face, get Shift 7, get that orientation back. Get this, GY, moving it down. We still got merge on, so I don't want to get too close. And then GY, just like that. And I guess we can leave that. No biggle. Control 1, turn this back. Now I think we got most of our cooling cell looking all right. And we did have auto merge on, so I imagine there's not too much to clean up, which is nice. Nothing to clean up. All right. Fantastic. And now there was that rectangular recess right here, and I think it goes inward instead of outward. Um, Still not a huge amount of help there. I'm gonna put it inward because I think that's the way it goes. Just guessing. Maybe, I think maybe we'll bevel this actually first before we get too much further. Because this is going to be kind of uncomfortable with all these sharp angles. This is its own item, right? Yeah. So we could maybe Shift 7, and then we can just select all these vertices. Oh, let's get X-ray back on. We can't actually do that, can we? But we could do this. Just gotta be careful with our selection. Get all these edges that I want to bevel. And get in here. So we can do them all at the same time. Save a minute or two. I mean, we could just do that. And then hold shift to deselect. I'm just mousing over it with the circle select, which is C. And then circle select, shift, mousing over with left mouse button. Okay. And I don't, poop. Okay. Why'd we select those but not these? How did that work? Alright, well, we got some deselecting to do. Shouldn't take long. And I'm using a circle select, it's just really small. All holding shift and left mousing over everything. These layers, because they are already beveled, we don't really need to do any more with them at the moment. Okay. Oh. Uh, hmm. Almost got it. I think I deselected some over there. Maybe not. Thought the finger slipped for a moment, but okay. Okay. Let's try to make sure everything is as it should be. So I really don't want to do all that again. And is this the bottom? I don't think we need that. Or this. We actually probably ought to delete that. with all that selected, let's go ahead and do our bevel. It's just going to be a little bevel just to round those edges a little bit. Oh, there it goes. Just a wee bit. Let's make sure that didn't interfere with anything. Not getting caught on the edges. Everything. It's looking okay so far at a cursory glance. Oh, alright. Time to move on, I think. So where is that? I think it's at the second rib that this thing starts. So you got like this protrusion, and then it goes in, and then protrusion. So I think the second protrusion. So right around here. And it looks like it might even be in the middle of that. Yeah. Okay, we can do that. Alright, so what I'm going to do is Shift 7, get this angle, and then we'll Shift A to create a plane. Where am I plane? There it is. X-ray, and foo. Now we gotta rotate it a bit. Control 1, get our camera orientation back, and let's put this plane on this sort of angle. It's probably not perfect, but it will do. And now let's go back to this, Shift 7, and then we'll hit L on one of those vertices to collect all of it, and let's see about where this is. So it's about midpoint of that one, and then it extends down. Control 1, and then it extends down. Where are we at? You can see on this one, not really. Where'd it go? Oh, I was looking at it from behind. Okay, it goes all the way to that spacer or whatever there. So we'll take this edge and GY it all the way down there. I feel like it would be down here. Yeah. And then let's get this edge, I think it is, and then GY to drag it in front. Then we're going to hit P, separate selection, and then we are going to get our cell in edit mode, control left click on our square. We can't get that, so I'm going to do it over here. Control left click so it's nice and red. Oh yeah. First we should orient our camera. Let's turn off X-ray. And then with that face, Shift 7. And we got everything still selected, so let's see if that's going to do what we want. Mesh, knife project, cut through is off. Let's go ahead and hide that. And it looks like we got about what we wanted. I do believe. Shift 7. Let's collect all these faces. Hmm. See if I got them. Still need this one. No? That one's all the way across. Never mind. Um, Looks like we're clicking. Oh, What is this? Uh-oh. Looks like when we beveled, it did end up creating us some weirdness. So we're gonna have to control Z all the way back there. Oh, unfortunate. Most unfortunate. Yeah, because that one's too far diagonal, and if that one is, all the other ones probably are too. Dang. So we'll just have to bevel a little bit. And that was the goal. Just enough so that those 2 points aren't crossing over each other. So we still got some beveling in there. Not much, but it's the thought that counts. Okay, so back over here. Let's get cursor to active. Nice, and then we'll shift 7, get our plane, rotate around there-ish. And let's shrink along the X, hit X twice, so we get back to global. Shift 7. Let's switch the normals on that. Shift 7. Switch it. Shift 7, so we should go upside down, yeah. And let's go to median point, then shrink this guy down. And Y. GY, put that in the middle of that. Now we can take this edge, and it goes all the way to here. Hmm. Doesn't seem like it's going where we want it. So we'll just do that manually. Let's check the width of our rectangle here, and it's about a third, maybe a little more than that middle third it's taken up. So let's scale along the x-axis. Okay, scale x. There we go. And shift 7. And I think that's about right. I think that's about right. Alright, let's separate this guy again. Oh yeah. Didn't we have that hidden over here? Or oh no, I undid its very creation. Alright, so mesh, knife project, and this time let's cut through. We're not going to need it for the other side, but some of these that weren't visible to the knife aren't going to get cut, so hide that. Now we should be good. I don't think it's on the other side. Well, it may very well be. I don't think it is. Is there any pictures before we go any further? Looks like there's something else actually on the other side that comes outward. So if that be the case, maybe we can control Z back to having these two right? And then we will, which one was this? This one was this one, so let's go to this one, and then we'll extrude GY, and then we'll pull this out like so. Alright, so that part goes in. I think it needs to go beyond that point. So maybe here-ish? Then I guess we might need to make another recess over here to accommodate that. Um, hmm. So for that to work, nerds. Alright, so I don't lose this. I'm gonna go ahead and make a vertex group by going down here to data, vertex group plus, and then I'm gonna assign the vertices that we currently have, assign, so now we can deselect and deselect those. That way when I deselect them to make some adjustments, we won't have to try to collect all those vertices again. So I'm going to deselect these. And then I'm going to set, say, this one to be the active, because I double clicked on it, it's white now. And let's make our pivot point the active and see if this works. Scale Y0. There we go. So now we have our flat rectangular bit there. That worked rather nicely. And then I think we'll go ahead and clean that up if any of those vertices manage to um, overlap each other, and they did. So we got that looking pretty neat, though this area looks terrible. That means there's going to be a fair amount of cleanup in there. But we can worry about that in a second. Let's get this too. So select, and now we can deselect all of these. Let's hit SY0, flatten them out. And we can clean that up just like that. And now I guess we gotta mess around with, oh man, that's gonna be a little tricky getting in here. But we're gonna want all of this. There's no really good way to select those, unfortunately. So we might have to just do it manually. So let's get these. And I'm just going to delete all of these edges and turn them into flat faces for simplicity's sake. As we got this crossover here, I don't want the 3D printer getting confused with that. It likely will, and we'll just have to come through here, and by the time we finish the model, I'll more than likely forget any of this even exists. So, might as well get it now. I think if there was an easier way to select all these little guys, but they're so small. And there's so much else going on with this model. And we got it. So I'm going to delete all those edges, and then I'm going to just turn this whole thing into a single face. Makes things so much easier. And less crowded. And we got to do the same thing for this side as well. Okay, starting with the top. Oof. Looks like these merged for some reason. And that got kind of weird. Let's see. I think these two also need to get erased. Yeah, that should be okay. Let's go ahead and get rid of these as well. While we're here, we'll just make it all one big face. Why is this straight on? Maybe when I auto cleaned up the mesh, they were too close to each other and ended up auto merging. So I'm Control Z in back a ways to see if we can fix that before it gets screwed up. Okay, got that. And they're all straight. There's where we went wrong. And it also looks like this isn't as far back as it's supposed to be, which is weird. They all should have lined up on that plane. Z, Y, 0. I mean S, Y, 0. And it looks like it didn't quite do that. It should have been back here a little more. Oh, man. Okay. So. Think. I think the simplest thing to do right here would be just to push it back a little further rather than trying to correct that issue. So GY, whoops, GY, let's push that back a bit further. And let me see if all these vertices, they're all on the same plane there. But it seems like they're not far back enough. So I'm gonna hit SY0 again. Let's see if we're far enough back so they're not trying to merge. That should be fine. That should be fine. Alright, and this time, I think I'm going to try to collect all these vertices ahead of time. Since we're going to be replacing these faces regardless, I think this might be an easier solution for us. Those. Let's click these. Let's leave out the very corner. So we're going to need that. All these. Need to be deleted. Alright. So with that, right click, delete all those vertices. Let's make sure there aren't any stragglers. That's fine. Um, all right, looking pretty clean on this end. And let's get this guy. And we'll extrude. And we got snap on. Active. G. Where'd you go? Oh yeah. That's GZZ. Get it up there, and GYY. Snap it back here. So those two should be on the same plane. We can seal that up. And we'll need some vertices down here as well. Is this the same plane? Let's see. Looks about right. I think it'll do. So, Alt left click on that, hit F, Alt click on this, hit F. And now we have a nice clean recess in there. And I feel like I should bevel these if we can. There might be some awkwardness in these really tight little spaces. But if we can, I'd like at least a little bevel. Just a wee bit of bevel. See if we have any overlap here. It's looking pretty clean. Is this overlap? Nah, that looks alright. That looks okay. Let's check this corner as well. But it looks alright. It might not even come up on the 3D printers, but I like to have a little bevel on these outer edges. If we can get it. Alright, so that's that part. Well, let's see about this. There's a protrusion that might overlap the teeth, or is that just the bar sticking out there? What would be most useful to us at this moment? Hmm. 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 That's difficult to say. So I'm thinking we'll have some teeth that kind of rest over these, and then kind of go back here and then into this area back here. So we can actually pull this forward. GY, is that the right angle? I think so. Okay, with this, we can create a face here. And then we can start making the teeth. So let's pull this down. And maybe let's extrude that and then GY it. Let's get the edge length on that. So then when we do hit this face, we'll have that measurement GY. And it is, whoop, let's turn off snap for a sec. GY, and let's say 0.5 would be a very snug fit. Let's say maybe 0.65. Bit, a tiny bit of wiggle room, and that edge looks kind of off. Let's get that off. Let's see how far this is. So extrude GY, and let's snap it down here. 6.5. So that is actually exactly where that needs to be. So that should be fine. So now let's work on these teeth. I don't want to do the teeth. I'm thinking we can get these and then knife project them onto here so they can be exactly the same. But do we want that though? I'm gonna gather up these fellas. Face mode. Then I'm gonna hit Shift D. And then I'm gonna go to global. And let's hit P, separate selection. Let's get these. And then I want to put them all on the same line. S, Y, 0. Put them like this. And then I'm going to pull them out a bit. And then I want to put them exactly on this line. Hopefully. Let's turn off edge mode, edge links. And then I would like to knife project those measurements. Where'd it go? Oh, since it's a straight line, it's almost invisible. Actually having trouble selecting it at all. Oh yeah, because I'm in object mode, no wonder. Okay, so since it was part of that, it I think is gonna be, yeah, it's this main 003. So with this and edit mode, then we'll control left click on this guy, set this over here, and let's see if this knife project worked. I don't think it worked the way I wanted it to, unfortunately. Unless this line is off. That's S. Yeah, SZ0. So this line is actually straight. It seems like our cooling cell might be a little off, but we can try to do this manually by rotating it ourselves to overlap that edge. Oops. Let's get back over there. What is happening over here? Looked like we were seeing some overlap of some kind, but maybe not. Let's get, oh yeah, we already have that. Let's try knife projecting again. No other selected objects. Didn't have any problems the first time, at least trying. But we can edit this around a bit. Let's just extrude, and we'll go out just to make it a bit more solid there instead of just being a line. Let's go back and edit, Control left click, mesh, knife project, no other, really? Really? If this isn't gonna feel like working, then I might have to do this manually, which kind of sucks. But oh well. We'll just do one and then we'll duplicate it maybe. Okay, so first let's get two subdivisions. I'll drag it over here and the other one over here. Yeah, this isn't on a straight line. How did I do that? It's just off. Just off. Most unfortunate. I'm not even sure how I could fix that. Okay. Well, that really sucks. But I don't think we're gonna want to go back and try to do all this over again. So I'm just going to use Shift V instead, which will allow us to slide along this edge so it wouldn't matter too much. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, we're gonna need 8 subdivisions now. And 8. And we'll drag it over here. And we just auto-merged. Which is not something I want you to do right now, so turn that off. Oh, it's directly out. Never mind. Auto-merge, you did nothing wrong. Wait. Actually, we actually need that vertice, don't we? And this should also come down a bit. Yeah, let's go back to, see if that was the one. That was not. Which one? Needs to be more like this, I think. Okay. Alright, so let's get this, well, you know, maybe these can poke out a little bit over that. Alright, Shift V, Shift V, Shift V, Shift V, Shift V, Shift V, Shift V. Alright, so now from here, I'm thinking we can mimic this by G, Y, Y, pull that out, protrude just a little bit. And then these two come out just a wee bit too. And then these two as well. Y. Kind of like that. And let's get rid of this face. And with that, more or less in the shape that we're going through, they can kind of lock on top of those teeth. Now, this will actually need to be redone. We won't worry about that though. We gotta do that in a minute. Then what we'll do take these, and then E, G, Y. True that bit, because I think it is. And then then I think we'll angle that back into itself. So let's go GY again, then we'll hit this, and then G, or S, it's, S, Y, or S, X, no, S, Y, Y, then 0, there we go. And now we're back on that line. And this is probably just a tiny bit off, like the whole thing, unfortunately. But I don't want to go back and do all that. So GY, and then we'll pull it up a little bit. And that'll just be where it terminates and kind of flows back into this face here. And then I can give this a face. Oh, we need to deselect all these. Make sure F. And then we'll just copy and paste this, basically. And I guess we'll just do it by eye. So it's already not going to be perfect. Hmm. So Shift D, G, GXX, slide it over. And we'll be just a bit beyond those things' borders. So that's GXX, snap it over here. It's actually almost the same size, which is actually a good thing. Alright, with that going, Shift D to duplicate, GXX, moving it right along. Let's go ahead and snap it right there. Shift D, right click, GXX, snap it, Shift D, right click, GXX, snap, and we just keep going. Something like that. And then this. I hate that it's like that. But we'll hit L on each and every one of those, except for you. We'll get this one. And then we'll go to X-ray. Then select all these guys. And I'll try to get this on as close a curve as I can manage. Okay, alright, let's make another vertex group. Assign these. Yeah. Then I want to make a face, or just use this face. And then I'm going to Shift 7. And did we go under? Yeah, we did. Probably doesn't matter, but let's deselect that and then select that again. And excuse me. And then we're going to try to rotate this so it's at least close to this. We actually need to go on the other side. So that one seems to be more accurate. And that one as our active. Try to rotate this down. So it's as close as we can get. I'm not sure which one of those we're going for. I'll just go for this one. It's going to be fractions of a millimeter off, which upsets me to no end, but what can you do? Off. And let's go ahead and seal this up then. Oh, we'll get rid of this edge now. And we'll connect all of these. Make our new edge to replace the one we just got rid of. That's the edge. Alright. And unfortunately, we can't just click all the edge loops. Don't want it to be that easy. X-ray mode, make sure we're not clicking on anything we shouldn't, like this. Um, oh. Huh? Oh, I guess I forgot these two faces here. Ah, poop. Boom, boom. Gotta collect that one anyway. Okay. Now we should make a relatively flat face out of this. And there are our teeth. And I think we need to close that up. Let's hide the handlebar for now. And let's get this faced. And let's get our handle back. Wait, isn't this handle? Oh, that was main, I remember. Alright. Alright, now I want to bring the teeth down. So with this GY, don't protrude as far as I had thought. But they still do protrude some. How far is this actually? 0.5, that's gonna be barely visible. See if we can pull these out some. Not effectively. What if we got rid of those two bits? GY. Could get them that way. Let's try that, because I do want these to look like they kind of connect. We can just select all. And then look over here. And of course it's not even, so that wouldn't work. Poop. Okay. Okay, with this face selected. This one. Shift 7. X-ray. And it's not really working the way I wanted it to, unfortunately. Alright, fine. I'll just manually take these off. Control 1, period. Get more comfortable orientation. Deselect all of these. And then we will drag them out a bit. A bit more. Maybe they should overlap a little bit. Uh, um, hmm. Hmm. And if they are going to overlap like that. And now that face is kind of weird, so I think we need to pull this face up. Where are you? To meet back with that. So the other way. GY. Oh gosh, why? Why is it always something? Of course. Can't select all of them, right? Or did we? Hmm. So I think what has to happen now is we select all of these. GY, okay, GY, I mean SY0 to flatten them all out onto the same plane. And then we'll GY up a bit. Let's see how far this is. E GY 0.4. I think we need to go up a wee bit more. So we need at least 0.5. That should be plenty. Ooh, that was an ordeal. But I think that's almost it for our power cell. The next thing I want to add, we'll actually call it quits here today because that was a lot. But we're definitely getting there. We're definitely getting there. And if you don't want to go through all this modeling, I do have the STL files needed to print all of my 3D printable props available to supporters over on my Patreon. We currently have over 40 props available and are adding more all the time. This prop will also be made available once it's finished. So if you'd like to skip the modeling and gain access to an entire armory of 3D printable props, check out my Patreon, link in the description. It is only $5 a month and you gain access to the entire armory of over 40 props. Staying a member ensures you get access to everything new added to the armory immediately and of course, very much helps support the channel. Speaking of supporting, we have to show our gratitude to M. John Simon, a real hero of the channel, supporting at the hero tier. Become a hero to get yourself special mention in these very videos, and as always, like and subscribe to ensure you never miss out on the next video. Until then, I have been Ken with Kenjutsu Bring It to Life, and I am out.